it got to the point where it's like such a chore, and I was like, I really like having to do the one deck a month. Like, I would like find myself just begrudging the experience and like constantly like, oh, I gotta film again, and didn't really want to do it. So that's kind of when I realized I probably should just stop doing it altogether. I feel so lucky that like so many of the decks that I played have received support over this time period. Like Mermail got new cards, Speedroy got new cards, Photon Galaxy got new cards, Marincess is getting a new card. As before, it was like I felt like I had to do that because I felt like I needed the validation for whatever reason. Like, well, you got to go to YCSs, like you got to go to regionals. Like, you gotta do well at locals, and that's still something I struggle with.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the second episode of Phantom's Cast. Today I am joined by a very special guest. You probably recognize him. One of the best YouTubers for Rogue Strategies, Acacia Strain's biggest fan, the main photographer of Allegheny State Park, Mike English, also known as Winner Kills. What's going on, man?
Thank you, man. I appreciate the introduction. Doing good. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Very excited. Haven't done a podcast in a while, so excited.
Good stuff, man. So recently you just took about a year-long break from Yugioh. Just got back into it.
Yep.
Released 2 videos so far. How's it feel? How's it feel to be back?
It feels good. It feels pretty good. It's definitely something like I feel like I kind of have to relearn a little bit to some extent. I don't want to. The main thing is like I didn't want to come back doing the same exact thing. So trying to figure out how to not do that has been a little bit of a learning curve, and it probably will continue to be. But overall, it's been fun, and I like it so far. I like it's taking it from a completely new approach, and I often thought to myself, I'm like, I probably shouldn't have waited to the last minute to kind of think about how I'm going to go about posting when I come back, but honestly, I'm kind of glad that during my hiatus, like, the last thing that was on my mind was, like, thinking about YouTube or Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. It was good to have that completely absent from the brain, so when I come back, everything feels fresh and new and not like it's just the same old thing that I've been doing for all, like, 10 years. Yeah, like, literally 10 years, so.
Yeah, so
experience, but it's been a lot of fun, yeah.
So when you say, like, not come back and do the same thing, you mean you're talking about content creation, or are you talking about playing, or both?
Mainly content creation, because I'll probably always continue to play rogue decks. Like, you're probably always going to continue to see the decks that I've played on the channel, like revisiting them, like the Speedroy deck. Obviously I've played that for a while, going back to Mermail and eventually like Photon Galaxy and other decks. But I do plan to pick up new decks, like stuff that I haven't covered before. But specifically, it's like one of the biggest problems I noticed I had was, and I think it was because I was burnt out, I didn't really care as much. I just wanted to like make content that was easy, that I could just like constantly just spit out and post every day, every week. And that was like the first person videos that I was doing with a GoPro strapped to my head, and the top down feature matches with post commentary. Like, I felt like I was just way too reliant on that stuff, and eventually it not only burned me out of making videos, but like all the numbers on my channel were down. Like, the viewership was way down, and I imagine my audience was also probably tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. So I don't want to like fall into that same trap of like relying on something that's easy to make and does okay and just kind of like keep posting that and be like whatever, and instead of trying to like innovate on every video that I make and try to make each video feel unique and not just, you know, more of the same that I've been posting, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't really said this like publicly yet, but one deck a month is probably not gonna be a thing anymore. I have like a new video, which is basically that first video I posted, is more or less basically what that series will turn into. Like, basically taking one deck a month and like smushing it into one video, because I just felt like dragging it out over 4 videos just felt a little like redundant. especially after the first couple weeks, you kind of like, at least for me anyways, I get the deck figured out, and
Yeah.
it felt like it's more of the same, and it leaves me more room to like try to like come up with something else instead of like I'm working on this series for the next month and that's it, instead of trying to like, okay, I made that video, what do I want to do now? Like, do I want to do a replay? Do I want to do a vlog style video? Do I want to do some kind of like have a fun video, like a ranking or some sort, like stuff that I haven't really done in the past. Just kind of leave the horizon open, so to speak, for the next video. Yeah.
Yeah, right, because it kind of sucks to get like locked into a deck for 4 weeks if you don't want to be playing it 1 week later, you know, so I don't know.
Exactly. That happened a lot.
Yeah, I feel like it did a few times, you know, and then plus you go in to locals, you get whooped on, and you're like, I don't really want to play this deck anymore, but I have committed myself to nobody really. Like, you kind of like force yourself to do it, even though no one's making you, you know. But yeah, I get it, I understand.
Yeah, I'm prisoner and prison guard at the same time.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is like, it's like I like recording at locals, but like I'm not the most like outgoing guy. I'm very like introverted, so like filming like myself, like when I film my vlogs out in nature, like I have no problem filming because like there's nobody around.
Yeah.
Like I'm out in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere. There's nobody around. Like I can just be totally me on camera. I have no problem with that. But like if I'm like filming myself at locals, it does feel weird, and it's definitely gotten better over the years, but it's still not super comfortable. Like, so when I had to do one deck a month, and like every week I was like, I gotta bring not only set up the feature match rig, which just felt like a chore in of its own, and then I had to like film all of my matches, and then I had to like film little bits of B-roll in between. And
Yeah.
like I did that every week. I didn't like reuse shots. Like I would constantly film new B-roll segments, constantly film me sitting down talking about my past rounds. And like just got to be too much. Like now where I can do it is like I can have a locals where I record, get everything I need, and kind of stretch that out over a smaller section of one video, and then like the next two locals I can kind of just pay more attention to just how I'm playing the deck and just like enjoying Yu-Gi-Oh for what I mostly enjoy for now, is like hanging out with my friends, you know, shooting the shit and just goofing around and stuff, like, and then playing Yu-Gi-Oh on the side.
Yeah.
So it's like less stressful in that regard to have like constantly it got to the point where it's like such a chore, and I was like, I really like having to do the one deck a month, like I would like find myself just begrudging the experience and like constantly like, oh, I gotta film again, and didn't really want to do it. So that's kind of when I realized I probably should just stop doing it altogether if I didn't really like it that much.
Yeah, I can imagine it kind of takes fun out of going to locals. Like it's a job.
Yeah.
It's a job first, and then you're actually playing and having fun second. And then I can only imagine, you know, all these jackoffs in the comments being like, "Oh, you misplayed," but they don't know. They don't know like how much other shit's going on in your head at the same time. Like, oh my god, is my audio good? Is my battery? Am I recording? Got to film B-roll after this match, so I got to be done quick. You know, it's like.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah, no, it's just adding salt to the wound, all the outside noise and all that stuff, and yeah, it's just. I'm glad I'm moving on from that though. Definitely happy with that. It feels like a weight off my shoulders and a lot more freeing for sure.
Yeah, good. So, you know, you didn't just make that decision to take a break. All of a sudden, how long do you think it was kind of brewing? How long were you starting to think about it?
Let's see here. Honestly, so when did I stopped playing? I remember my last locals was at the end of January, and one of my good friends, like, he hosts like online tournaments for our community, and they're like cash tournaments. So like, you know, people have a place to like go and try to like get good testing and locally Because when you're playing for money, you're gonna like obviously be more competitive.
Yeah.
Instead of just like playing random matches on DB. So like he would host these like he calls them the DB Lurker series, and every now and then he'd like do one like in person. And the last locals I played in was basically an in person one of those events. So I paid like $20 for entry, and I think I was playing Speedroid Kashtira, and I had been thinking about like finding a stopping point to like get off and take like a few weeks from like posting content in general, and that also meant like not like playing as much. And I think when I stopped making those videos and I gave myself a pass to like, all right, I said I was going to take a break. I've been saying I was going to take a break for probably a few months now, especially with, I think it was like Snake Eye format, like that whole Snake Eye Ash format is probably what kind of like pushed it over the edge a bit. And then I was like, like I said, week after week, like this week's gonna be the week I take a break. Nope, it's not this week. I got to film a little bit more for this thing. Because there was always like a need of like, I want a video, but I want to take a break. And then eventually got to the point where I was like, all right, this is gonna be it. And then with that, it's like, all right, I'm not gonna go to locals. Like, I'm going to have because locals was always on Saturday for that particular locals. I'm going to take the Saturday off and just do something else.
Yeah.
And then 1 week turned into 2 weeks and turned into 3 weeks. And I was like, I think it was like April. I stopped playing at the end of January. I made some videos that like didn't really require me to like know a lot about the current format, like the Photon Galaxy video I did for the new cards, ranking those as like a Q&A.
Yeah.
And then it just turned into, I'll play when the Photon Galaxy cards come out. And then I think I learned that they had no planned release date. So I was like, oh, well, this could be a few months. This could be, because you know how it is when they'll release cards for an archetype and the OCG, and there's no way of telling whenever it's going to come out over here. So I was just like, I used that as a gauge to like figure out when I was going to come back. And then I started really focusing on landscape photography and stuff like that, and kind of forgot about all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And then basically just a year went by like that. It felt like,
yeah.
I was like, even at the end of it, the Galaxy cards still didn't have a release date. Now they're like just coming out now as we're filming this. Like I just picked up some of the cards last night at locals. And then the Speedroid stuff was already out, so I was like, I'll just play that. But yeah, it was like, to answer your question, not in a super long drawn way, it was like, I'd probably been thinking about taking a break at the end of 2023 for like a couple months.
Yeah.
And it just took a little bit more motivation every week of not enjoying it as much to finally just push away from it entirely, and it turned into a year-long hiatus, so.
Yeah, well, you might, I don't know, might have realized or something, like, if you take a break from content and then you are not going to even play anymore, that means you're probably just playing for content for quite a while and you haven't been wanting to play. Because I feel like I'm in a similar situation where I'm like, I could go to locals, I could play these decks, or I could stay home and make a video about it and kind of have a free Saturday. And I don't know, I'm taking the latter option way more frequently. Like, I'm never going to locals anymore. I go like once a month and I just crank out content at home, and I'm just trying to make it as easy as possible. And then I'm like, do I even like playing this game, or am I just making videos? Like, I don't know what's going on. So it seems like a...
Yeah, I feel you there. Yeah, that probably, I probably didn't realize at the time, but now that you say that, I probably had a lot to do with it, because like jumping from deck to deck, not because I want to, and a lot of times, like you mentioned earlier, like for those one deck a month series, it's like after the first couple of weeks, it's like I didn't want to play it, but then it would be the opposite way, where like I'd play a deck that I really liked playing, but because I had pigeonholed myself into being like, well, after this one deck 1 month is over, that means I have to switch to another deck, right?
Yep.
Now I have to stop playing this deck that I really like to play something that I don't want to play as much.
Yeah.
two sides to every coin, I guess, you know.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, that's a valid point. Playing because I genuinely like it, or playing just because I feel like I have to make a video. So yeah, it's a interesting point.
Yeah. And then, let's talk about what you did in the meantime. So you mentioned you got really into landscape photography. You have another channel on YouTube. You have Instagram, all that kind of stuff. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So yeah, I think I got back into landscape photography because I started it in 2018. I originally bought a DSLR to use for YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up going outside to take photos with it, and then that kind of grew into something like a very, very passionate hobby of mine for like a year, and I stopped in 2019. And then at the heart of tier limit format, when it was tier 0, I took a little bit of a break, and in that break I ended up buying a new camera, and I was just bit by that whole thing again. And then 2023 goes by, I'm learning a whole bunch of things, discovering a bunch of places locally, and then by the time 2024 rolls around, it had become such a big part of my life, and whenever I wasn't doing Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, I was doing that.
Yeah.
And then as soon as that break hit, I was just like, I had all this extra free time. I can go focus on, photographing areas that I've been meaning to photograph in different times of the year. And that slowly built into something a lot bigger. Like, I started doing art shows, and then I met two really good friends in that process. One lives in Erie, PA, so I think that's around where you're from. And the other guy, he lives 20 minutes north of me or whatever. And I met him on Instagram. And the one guy who lives close by me, he photographs the Letchworth State Park like I do. But he's been photographing that place for 10 years. And I started talking to him through Instagram. And I thought for a little while I knew a lot about landscape photography and all that stuff, but he really opened me up to all sorts of different styles of landscape photography when it came to post-processing, taking it that next step further, when it comes to learning a place and everything about it, and how the seasons affect that place, how the light affects it, and how to take truly unique images and not just chase clicks and stuff, truly unique work that sets you out from everybody else. And his mindset kind of really helped to change mine into a place where I now really like landscape photography even more, because at first it seemed kind of shallow, but now it seems so infinitely deep that I could spend hours talking about it, and it's something I want to do for forever now. It's just such a big part of me. And it's something I honestly don't think I could live without at this point. But spent that year off with this newfound passion for landscape photography, and with that I was you know what? I spent so much time photographing these places. I kind of want to turn this into a project.
Mm-hmm.
I want to eventually release books for these parks that I photograph, Allegheny being one of them, Letchworth being another one. Evangola is another one that's right on Lake Erie. It's a very small park, but I've been photographing that place since 2018, and I love it. It's so close to home. And I follow a lot of photographers in the process on Instagram, and they have released their own projects and books, some of which I have bought recently. And it's just very inspiring to see where you're not really just going out taking pictures, but you can take all these images from spending years in a certain place, getting to know it really well, and then put together this body of work and create this wonderful piece that really shows everything about a certain area that a lot of people love, but they might not know it as well as they ought to. And that's just been the main focus of my landscape photography journey, is documenting certain places throughout the seasons, trying to put together projects. and that has been a lot of fun. And also like going to art shows, like getting involved in the local art community, and participating things like that I've never really participated in, and that those have been very difficult to do just from like a standpoint of like getting everything together and like having to stand in front of your work for hours on a very hot day and deal with all sorts of people that are like kind of being assholes. Like I had one guy tell me, he's like, people can do this with an iPhone, right? And I just kind of had to stand there and go, huh, yeah, man, that kind of thing, and just play it off and yeah, smile and nod kind of thing,
Yeah.
and meet some people that like were genuinely really interested in my stuff, and I get to talk to them about it and make connections and stuff, and that's always awesome when you see somebody who's like really passionate and to like they want to like listen to like they're more interested in like you and your story than they are about like the actual art itself. That's just kind of like a side effect of it, but like that whole process has been very fun. So it took me a little while to figure out like what I was gonna do with these images, whether I was gonna like just take them for myself, or if I wanted to share them, or if I wanted to like try to sell some of my work, which I have done, or like try to turn it into something a little bit bigger, like a book project. And the ultimate goal would eventually be able to like give back to some of these parks that I photograph. Like they have like nonprofit organizations that help the park maintain itself when the budget might be tight, to promote like conservation, which is always a big issue, especially like recently. And I want to like push that, get people interested in nature, so they're more willing to protect it and understand it instead of just, you know, looking at a tree and just being like, what good is this empty, undeveloped space when we could like put something here? Like we could put like a shopping center or a parking lot or something vapid like that. It's like I want to get people inspired to enjoy and protect nature like I have, like through my process of landscape photography and going out to these places that honestly I didn't even know existed until I picked up a camera. So that's like my main focus and goal now. And it kind of took me, like I said, that whole year I spent off to like understand what that focus is, and I'm glad I did it because it'd probably be a very aimless pursuit had I been trying to balance the two like I was for a little while. But you know, there's a quote or something that's like the man who chases two rabbits or whatever catches none or something. That I heard that one day, and I remember driving home from locals after hearing that. I was like, maybe that's a sign I shouldn't try to pursue two things at the same time because it's not going to lead anywhere. So
Yeah.
but yeah, that's basically what I've been doing in the interim.
Well, you're kind of back at it now, aren't you? I mean, but maybe you have like a little
Yeah.
better appreciation for the balance, or a healthy balance, and weighing, what you enjoy versus just cranking out content. Like you're not gonna maybe take away from your photography to make Yu-Gi-Oh content that you don't want to be making in the first place. Like you're just gonna do the stuff you want to do, and then for both hobbies, do the stuff you want to do, basically, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did think about that because, I mean, honestly, returning after some point, returning to Yu-Gi-Oh after a while, I wasn't really a surefire thing. It was almost to the point where I wasn't going to come back because I was so intertwined with the photography. But in that year, I feel like I made so much progress in terms of like the work that I was producing, the leaps I was making on the business side of things, and understanding like what my goals are. Because at first I didn't really have goals. I was just trying to take pictures because they looked pretty and share them online. But now that this hobby has like a goal in mind, I felt like, all right, now when I step back into Yu-Gi-Oh and kind of go at it with like a more, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but a more like controlled approach. Like I can still do both only because with the photography, like I have a goal in mind that I can keep in sight while I kind of do this other stuff on the side. Because it wasn't something I was ready to like fully just leave behind yet. Whereas before it's like, I don't really know what I'm doing with this one thing, but I kind of know what I'm doing with this one thing, with the YouTube and stuff. But now, like I said, now that I have that vision that focus. When I go out to shoot, like, everything feels more purposeful, and I have that time where, like, I'm being a photographer, like, today's a photo day, or a photo week even, or, like, this next couple of days are all going to be Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, and I don't need to worry so much about the photo stuff because I've already got all that figured out, and I can kind of just walk away from it for a couple days and focus on making a video, going to locals, etc., etc., so, but yeah, that is something I did think about, like, I think I talked about in the beginning of my first video I made when I came back. I was like, when I wanted to return, I thought to myself, like, if I do this, is it going to feel like I just walked in one giant circle throughout the year and, like, I didn't really make any progress? Like, am I going to shoot myself in the foot by doing this? But I think I'll be good now as is, at least. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, right.
And not end up in the same spot in a year from now, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, as someone who's watched most of your videos in the last, like, 5 years or whatever, I can tell, I can hear there's a difference in the last 2 videos you've posted compared to the ones like a year ago. Like, you are excited about what you're doing. The video quality shows that because you actually have, like, really great cinematic skills. Like, people don't really appreciate that. I don't think, like, what goes into editing these things, but I know you've done, like, really cool, like, intros before. You've done just, like, editing to the beat of the music instead of just chucking in a track on top of your video. Like, there's things that go into video editing that are, like, the effort is not necessarily appreciated unless you've done it or unless you can notice it, right? So, like, I can tell that it's, like, you're enjoying what you're doing, you're having a better time, it seems more healthy. I think you kind of give off, like, you're doing it in a healthy way nowadays compared to, like, maybe a year ago.
Yeah, I'm glad it gives off that vibe because honestly I wasn't sure what people would think, but yeah, I'm glad it gives that off because I definitely feel that way. And where I'm not like because before I was like trying to force myself to upload super consistently, but now I'm like kind of giving myself extra time and not really holding myself like I gotta have a video out this week. Like if I don't have a video out this week, maybe I'll have one the day after that, or maybe 2 weeks. But I want it to be a video that I enjoy making, even if it takes a week or 2 to get out. Like, it's a quality over quantity type thing. So yeah, and somebody and like you said too, yeah, like people don't really notice that kind of stuff, and it's funny too because you can kind of draw a parallel there with like the photography stuff. It's like sometimes I'll take a photo and I'll share it on Instagram, and a lot of the photographers I follow will really like the image and share it or comment on it. And then I'll share that same picture on a Facebook group for like local scenery, and it will do terrible. Because it's something only like people that keen creative eye, whether it be a photographer, a painter, a videographer, like those small little subtle details that they can really appreciate, whereas the average person might miss. But making those little details, all that stuff, it does take a lot of time, and it can be draining, but it's nice to see it appreciated. Because not everybody picks up on it. I mean, obviously you do. I've seen a couple people in the comments pick up on it, but most of the time it goes relatively unnoticed. But it's a labor of love, like anything. So.
Yeah, I feel like because I do it myself, like I can see it. You know what I mean? So, and then like I don't know. One of the coolest things about you, I guess I'll say, is that, or like, I'm in a very similar, hobby situation as you. I do photography myself. I have a second channel. I have Instagram. I post all this stuff, and I'm like, I can't for the life of me get my other stuff to grow. Like this, it just drives me nuts. I do the exact same stuff that I do for the Yugioh channel on the photography channel or travel or whatever I post. And it just goes nowhere, and it's just like driving me nuts because I'm like, I wish I could just almost swap the successes. Like I'm sure you also appreciate everyone that all of your viewers, subscribers, fans, whatever. I'm sure you appreciate them all 100%, and I do too for mine. But like, can you be photography fans also? You know what I mean? Like it would make my life so much easier.
No, I hear you, man. I hear you for sure because like Yeah, making content around photography, at least the way I do it, feels like it's easier because like I always go out and I can always record something, and it's like most of the time a little bit easier, and sometimes it's more enjoyable. Well, I won't lie. I say most of the time it's more enjoyable, but it is frustrating to see it not have the same takeoff.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of it is probably because Yu-Gi-Oh is a much smaller niche than photography in general. Photography is like a much bigger bubble than Yu-Gi-Oh is. It's like a trading card game.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're not the only one, man. Like I like the algorithm, like on Instagram and stuff. Like it's gotten so bad over the years, and
Yeah.
like I follow a lot of photographers who share the same frustrations. Like they'll share a photo and then they'll check the analytics, and it's only being recommended to people that follow them, and it's not being pushed to anybody that they don't follow. So it's like, what the
Why
hell?
don't you make more reels, man? Make more reels. What's wrong with you? More reels.
Make more reels on our photography platform that was originally based around photography. Just make short form video content like TikTok now. Or it's gotten so bad. Like I see people making reels that have stills in them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like feels so weird. I've thought about doing it myself. I haven't come to that yet, but it's definitely a struggle.
I did try it.
Yeah.
I tried it for a while, or like a before and after like edit type of reel or something. But I'm wasting my time.
Like spot versus the shot.
Yeah.
I when I first started my Instagram page, I really hammered out the reels quite a bit. But then after a while, I was like, this is just. I take pictures. I don't want to post videos. You know.
Yep, I feel that.
That's what it's all about.
Nice. Cool. So now that you're back, what do you think? What do you think about the game right now? How does it compare to when you left? Jumping back into Yu-Gi-Oh here. I guess when you left it was like peak Snake Eye format, like all the good cards just came out. It was whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now
that's a good question. Yeah, I've had a lot of time to think about that actually. Because when I stopped playing, like you said, it was peak Snake Eye, and was there any other decks that were super relevant back then, or was it just
at the time you left, which was like a year ago, it was Snake Eye, it was like Rescue Ace as well, like all the fire decks, Fire King.
Yeah, Rescue Ace, yep.
Yeah. Yubel hadn't come I'm sorry?
Voiceless Voice was another one?
Yeah. It was played. I don't think it was ever as good as this stuff.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I remember the Yubel deck, but yeah, as much as I despise Malice, I hate that deck with every fiber of my being. I'd rather play against Ryzeal every round at locals than have to play against a single Malice player. I like this format a lot better because it doesn't feel like a one format deck, and it feels like the decks that and maybe it's just timing too. Like Mermail is like a really good deck right now, and I took it to locals last night, did very well with it, and it just feels like the decks that maybe I like right now have a better time in this format, whereas like back then maybe the decks that I did like had a terrible time against Snake Eye, but I definitely like this format a lot better. It feels like more akin to like a triangle format, where that format felt like a one deck format if you weren't playing Snake Eye, like. Good luck. And the other thing too was like Baron got banned. That was the other thing that really I think maybe put the final nail in the coffin. It was like I couldn't play Speedroid anymore. The Galaxy cards were coming out, and who knows when. But now like there's so many options on the table. I feel so lucky that like so many of the decks that I played have received support over this time period. Like Mermail got new cards, Speedroid got new cards. Photon Galaxy got new cards. Marincess is getting a new card, I think, in Alliance Insight. It's getting that Trickstar card that's also a Marincess card.
That's in Maze. That's in the set that just came out, I think.
Oh, it is?
I think so.
Maze? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, that's really... Well, see, that's just the point. Like, and even the Rickerson Avalon deck, like, that got the Rika engine, and there's new Aromage cards. Yeah, I played against he came over the other week, and he played me with a 60-card Rika build that played the Rika engine?
Rika, yeah.
Yeah, and he also played the new Aromage cards. There's like a Fusion, there's like a new Link,
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, there's like a lot of new cards in here. And just playing the Therion engine, the Sinavalon cards. It's like, this deck even got new support. So, like, there's so many new options on the table. So, definitely like this format a lot better. Although, Malice and Dimensional Shifter
still here.
having to deal with the Molcharmies, like, that was a huge slap in the face coming back. It's like, best deck of the format, can play Shifter to a T, and there's also basically 3 Maxis now.
Yeah.
Themed Maxis. I was like, okay, wow, that's gonna take some getting used to. But
Yeah, hold your thoughts on those, because I want to go over. I want to go over some of the cards that have come out recently, and we'll go through them one by one. But yeah, I guess right now your game actually makes it to turn 3 on occasion, so that's pretty sweet. You don't have to play 20 hand traps in your deck necessarily. You still do. You still might, but compared to a year ago, like if you're not playing 18 hand traps, you might as well just not come to locals.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I agree. I like the game much better now than I did a year ago. I'm playing rogue decks and like having a chance. I can play weird cards and still do something. I do agree that the Malice deck is ass.
It's so bad, dude. It's so fucking bad.
I'm so tired of playing against that.
So many Malice players at my local. There's so many. There's like 7 Malice players.
Yep.
It's disgusting. I hate it.
It's not great. But yeah, well, who knows? Maybe we'll have a ban list. Are you nervous about a ban list hitting your Mermail deck now that you have started it?
A little bit. If Moulin gets banned, I don't care because I don't play Moulin. I don't side Moulin. I've seen a lot of builds that do play Moulin. I think Christian Urena, the 3v3 build that he played, he main Moulin Glacia. I'm just really bad with the deck, and I don't know how to combo to end on Moulin. I literally do the big fish into Water Barrier Statue, double Totalacia, and that's it. Like, I've just tunnel vision on that combo. The Water Barrier Statue has won me so many games. If they ban the Water Barrier Statue, I still also won't care because he won that 3v3 YCS without playing the Barrier Statue. I think both the Mermail players on the team, I don't think any of them were playing the Barrier Statue, which gives me hope. So it's like, I think the 2 most likely candidates are like Moulin and Water Barrier Statue. If either of those goes, I think I will still enjoy playing the deck because it can still put up great boards going first. It's still really good at going second because of Stormy Atlantean. That card is like custom.
Yeah.
Going second. So, like, send Prince, summon it, send Infantry for cost, bounce card, Infantry, pop another card. Like, it's just so satisfying to resolve that card. So, a little worried, yes. Super terrified that the deck will be made unplayable right now. I don't think so. Especially if it means they're going to hit, like, Malice and Ryzeal. So, I think I'm ready for whatever happens.
Yeah, I think the worst realistic single hit that will hurt the most is Totally Awesome. Might get the...
Yeah. That's
the axe, but
if that happens, I'd be shocked. But yeah, that would really suck. I'm not gonna put it any other way. That would really...
not great. But yeah, no. I don't know.
Oh, fingers crossed.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out shortly.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you, while you were on your break, did you keep up with the game at all? Like, were you talking friends playing or zero? Just total darkness?
I paid zero attention myself, but I get in Discord calls with my friends like almost daily. It's probably too much time spent in Discord with them, but like the same friends I go to locals with, and I would just be in there just to shoot the shit, and occasionally one of them would talk about their experience at locals or a new card that's coming out.
Yeah.
Like, I remember vaguely hearing my friend's reaction about Dominus Impulse. And, like, I would kind of, like, perk up a little bit, and then I'd be like, this is just too much for my brain to comprehend right now, like, these cards and the implications of that. So I just kind of, like, it kind of go in one ear, out the other.
Yeah, I get you.
So I didn't really pay too much attention. Anytime trying to read me a card, I would just like plug my ears. Like, I just don't care. I don't care what deck won the YCS. I don't want to watch the YCS stream. Leave me alone. I want to just take pictures. That kind of thing.
Right on. Yeah. Well, now that you're back, are you planning to start going to like regionals or anything like that, or are you just gonna take it real slow?
So that is a good question, because I kind of told myself that when I do come back, like I wanna take the game seriously, but like not take it as seriously as I was like trying to stress about like doing well at locals and then going to like OTSs, going to regionals, like traveling to YCSs.
Yeah.
So as it stands right now, I probably will only go to a regional if it's like close to home, like in Rochester, New York at Millennium Games.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably travel there for regional, but if it's anywhere else, I'm just not going to do it. Just because, like, I don't... Because as before, it was like I felt like I had to do that because I felt like I needed the validation for whatever reason. Like, well, you got to go to YCSs. Like, you got to go to regionals.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta do well at locals. And that's still something I struggle with is, like, when I don't do well, it's, like, not getting upset as much, not caring as much, trying to detach a bit from that, like, the emotional side of it. But, like, I don't want to, fall into that same trap of feeling like I need to go travel to events. Like, because all my other friends that play, pretty much all of them will travel to events. They'll go to nationals, they'll go to YCSs, even if they're in, like, North Carolina or Orlando or Vegas. Like, they'll travel all over the country to go to events.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I would only ever stay, like, I'd go to, like, Toronto, I'd go to Niagara Falls, I went to YCS in Pittsburgh, I went to one in Hartford back in 2021, I think. 2022, yeah, because it was Sword Soul Despia format.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, lost my train of thought. But yeah, just not focusing on that so much anymore, and just take it one locals at a time and try not to focus on doing big events like I was.
Well, yeah.
That, so.
Yeah,
Probably won't go super hard.
right, and I feel like you would put a lot of pressure on yourself, or I do. I put a lot of pressure on myself to win or do well because I want to post the first place deck profile, or I want to post top 8 regional deck profile, and then when I scrub out of the regionals in round 3, I'm like, well, crap, now I have no content to make, and I've wasted my time, and I just get down on it, and not really having fun with the boys. You know what I mean? So.
Exactly. No, I fell into the same trap. Like, I remember when I went to YCS Niagara, which I think was the last YCS I went to. It was 2023, and I had won a VIP qualifier with Rika, and I was like, I got my VIP for Niagara. Like, this is super awesome. I've never had this before. And I get my 2-round bye. I got to sleep in. Is like a dream. Like. And then I lost my first 3 rounds after my 2 buys. And my last round I lost was to a true Draco player who, I kid you not, literally didn't know what he was doing. And I lost to him. There have been few memories in Yugioh that have had me feeling as angry and as upset at myself. I remember driving down the QEW back to Buffalo, dude. I was fucking pissed, man. I was so upset with myself, and I was like, I just don't want to deal with that anymore, because you like you're saying, like, you want the content and you want like the validation. It's like, and you get like that bit of imposter syndrome, like, well, I didn't do well at this event, so it means every other video I've made about this deck is just bullshit now, because like I went to this event and I scrubbed out entirely, so what do I know? And it's not good for the mental. So yeah, it's definitely rough, man. It's super rough.
I feel that.
From that
Yep. The last regional I went to, I took Mermail as well. This was before Poseidra, but after everything else. And I lost round 1 to a good deck. And then round 2, I got paired up against Numeron OTK. And I drew triple Dragoons and like Coelacanth and the equip spell, and I'm like, okay. So I guess that's about it for me. And yeah,
tough,
it just happened, you know. Sometimes sometimes you just don't win. I dropped after round 2 and I just hung out with the boys. I'm like, all right, whatever, you know. But yeah, no, I can't.
Try to forget it if you can.
Yeah, what regionals, you know? But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sweet.
So it's easy to forget that like so much of that is out of your control. Like, and that's the one thing that's kind of like made me take it less seriously. Like some of my friends will stress about like, oh, I bricked and I lost. It's like, yet like end up realizing at the end of the day, like there's so much in this game that is like so entirely out of your control that like you kind of got to cut yourself slack, which sometimes is easier said than done. Like it's very easy just to like.
Especially when there's an audience.
Especially when there's an audience. Exactly.
Yeah, I feel that, man.
Totally right.
Well, I hope you you're down to travel for YCS Pittsburgh. Come to my hometown. It's in November, so think about it. Hopefully you're back in the game. November 9th, YCS Pittsburgh. I think we haven't had one. I've lived here 8 years. The first year I moved here, Nats was here. And I don't know if there's been one here since. So I am kind of stoked.
Yeah, there was. I went to YCS. I went to YCS Pittsburgh in 2017. That was my first YCS.
Yeah, that was the year I moved here.
True Draco. True Draco Zodiac, and I played. What did I play? I played a really bad True Draco Dino deck that I didn't have diagrams and.
Nice.
But it was fun. It was fun. I didn't know that's news to me. I did not know there was a YCS Pittsburgh announced.
Yeah, they announced every NA.
Make an exception.
They announced every NA YCS for the rest of the year, like last or something. And it's like it's 2 Californias, Pittsburgh, and I don't know. But then there's Providence in a month, Houston in 3 weeks, Providence May 1st, and then Nats is Indianapolis this year. But anyway, yeah.
That's actually pretty sick. Because I know when they started doing like YCSs in like Niagara Falls, I was like, they'll probably not do them in Pittsburgh again because Niagara Falls is like, I don't know, it's like kind of geographically in the same spot pretty much, and maybe they like having those events over there. So I don't know, that's actually pretty awesome. I might have to. I'm surprised none of my friends told me about that. They're keeping it from me.
Yeah,
what the hell?
Where's the news?
Sick, yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. Okay. Really quick, I set up an overlay. I'm gonna swap the overlay over, but we're gonna go over some cards that have come out in the last year, and I want to get your opinion on them since you have not posted your opinion on them. I'm guessing.
That's true.
All right, and we already touched on some of these. Let me swap my overlay here. Okay, let's start off with the Mulch Armies. What are your thoughts?
Well, I've always had a hatred for Max C, playing when Max C was legal. So when I remember my first, the blue one was the one that came out first.
Yeah, Perulia.
I remember Perulia, and I remember hearing my friends talk about that one, and I was like, damn, they're really making Max C like 2.0, and it's obviously not as good. You have to control no cards, and that one's only if you special from hand or normal summon. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, that's not like super bad. But then they printed the wind one, which might as well be Max C for a large majority of decks. Summoning from the deck or the extra deck is like commonplace in like 90% of strategies.
Yeah.
And that was insane to hear about. I got Molcharmied last night, Fool Lost, playing Mermail against my friend Dan, who was on Malice. He Molcharmied me. I did full combo. He drew 20 cards, and he still lost. Nice. So, shout out Waterbury.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah,
nice.
No, that's happened to me twice. A Rizio player Molcharmied me, drew a bunch of cards, he still lost, and then my friend on Malice, he Molcharmied me and lost, which is hilarious. Yeah, I mean they're balanced, and then the Earth one, like that's super like situational from graveyard or banish. Obviously, it hurts Malice a lot.
Yep, and that's why we love it. Yeah,
I like seeing that deck. I like seeing that deck get hurt by anything.
Yeah.
Shotgun in that Lancia or whatever, but like, I mean, there's really not much I can do about it now. They're in the game. They're not technically maxi, although they're kind of maxi. It was frustrating at first to understand that like I was gonna have to deal with that type of card, and it's already, as you know, it's already so hard playing Rogue as is, and then the best decks are a hard enough matchup as is. Like playing Speedroid, Malice is literally an unwinnable matchup unless your opponent bricks games 1 and 2 and you win die roll.
Mm-hmm.
And then you add those cards on top of that, which is like another barrier for these worse off decks to overcome. But
Yeah.
I think I've definitely gotten used to it. And while I would not shed a single tear if all of them got banned in the next list, which won't happen,
Mm-hmm.
but I can live with them. I can definitely live with them. It took a little while at first, but I can live with them. So.
Yeah. Personally, I think Fulos is way too good, but I think that's the wind one. But
Yeah, the wind.
I think the other two are good. I actually like the other two, but
Yeah.
summoning from extra deck, draw one, or deck or extra is just too much. I think it kills too many decks.
And the fact that you can use 2 of them, like you can.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten hit with Perulia and Fulos, and then it might as well just be Max C at that point.
Gotta love
Close
that.
to being Max C.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's not a great feeling.
All right, on to the next. I want to talk about the Dominus trap cards. So have you had a chance to read both of those? You know both of them?
Yep.
Okay, we'll start with, okay, let's look at the concept in general, like being locked into specific attributes. Do you like that or not?
Well, I like it and I don't like it. I like it because it prevents every single deck from being able to throw one of those 2 in there. But that's also weird because I think most people, and I guess it's maybe format dependent on whether Purge or Impulse is better, but like, I think Impulse is definitely a stronger card.
Yeah.
And I feel like the attributes that like you get locked out of using Impulse, like it prevents you from using, was it Light, Earth, and Wind?
Yeah, that's you're locked out of those, yeah, for Impulse.
Yeah. So dark decks can still use Impulse and will always be able to use Impulse, which is like dark decks have like historically always been the best decks. But then again, I guess you could argue like light decks can't use it, but then they can use Purge. So I guess in that regard, it's kind of balanced, but I don't know. It's not being able to play Impulse and Speedroid was kind of annoying because it's definitely one of the better cards.
Yeah.
I mean, Purge is basically a second Ash Blossom, but yeah. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
It's an interesting concept. I don't think I've ever seen him do something like that before, where you only can use like a specific. You're locked out of a specific set of attributes for the rest of the duel after you use that card. So it's a unique thing.
Yeah. I have a kind of a positive outlook on it. I kind of like them. I like that I'm not forced to play them in every deck. Like, even though it would be good if I could play them in every deck, like, at least now I have some flexibility or something. I don't know. It's kind of cool. Interesting concept. Instead of just printing more generic cantraps, well, shit, there's so many damn generic cantraps that you have to play. And, like, well, okay, at least now I can choose something. Okay, let's talk about the Fiendsmith package. This is basically splashed into every deck since it came out last June. You weren't playing at the time, but this came out the weekend of Nationals, so everyone playing Nationals had to scramble to find their engravers, like I did, for $100 a piece. But yeah, not great. So what do you think about this engine being kind of played in everything? Is it too good? Is it annoying? I don't know. What do you think?
I historically haven't really been a big fan of like super splashable engines, and I think my hatred from that started with the Nightmare engine. And it feels very similar to that because like back then, like as you know, like 2 monsters gets you into Nightmare, which gets you into Mermaid. And now it's like the same thing. 2 monsters gets you into
Moon.
That one, Moon, and then that goes into Requiem, and then you have full combo. And then the grind game with it is like absurd. Like it's just like pretty much infinite resources. It can set up the mass negate with Desiree, or you can make the DDDXCs, which is like a huge problem. Just be able to beat nib out right before you start your combo.
Yeah.
I feel like engines like that definitely make certain like formats like very trivial because like everybody's playing it and everything feels like very like samey, where every deck's like doing the same combo and it's just boring and not a lot of diversity. So I mean, I don't hate it per se, but I definitely don't like it because I've just never really been a fan of those engines that like pretty much. Can you put 2 monsters on board?
Yeah.
Full Freaksmith combo, right?
Yeah, I know you were a big fan of Verte Anaconda back in the day, so I figured you would like this one too.
Oh my god, yeah, no, that was insufferable too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the other 2 card in every deck. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice.
I hand trapped you perfectly, and now you make Anaconda and Dragoon, and I lose.
Nice.
Yeah. Outplayed.
Just be better, dude. Come on.
Not again.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. The next one, have you had a chance to interact with the Primite cards at all?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that? An engine that can, I don't know, it turbos out normal monsters, but it does a lot of good stuff otherwise. What do you think?
Yeah, the normal monster stuff is always cool. Like I played like Rika, which had that like normal monster aspect to it with like playing unexpected die, and I played like a Phantasm Spiral deck way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. It's always fun messing around with normal monsters, but I've seen the Primite engine being splashed into pretty much only Blue Eyes. Although my one friend Kaz played Primite Fiendsmith,
of course,
and that was there you go, right? And that was an interesting deck build. I think he stopped playing it rather quickly, but.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. I think it's nice that it helps out the Blue Eyes deck. Drill Beam is a crazy card, like Lord of the Lodes, kind of insane. Just declare any normal monster and special summon it, like an Ether Barrel. Like it's unique. Like I like it a lot more just because it has more like style points. Like it's summoning out normal monsters. So like whatever it's used in is like gonna be a pretty cool strategy. And, like,
unique take on
I
something.
played when. Yeah, exactly. And like I played against Blue Eyes back in 2016 when they got like Alternative Dragon and Sage, and I didn't really mind that deck back then, and I don't mind it like now. I actually like enjoy playing against Blue Eyes because it's like a good deck, but it's like a fair deck, which obviously the best decks aren't always fair. They're pretty much never fair, and that's why they're the best. But it's nice to come across a deck that like is really good but really fair. And then they also can play that engine on top of it, even though it's like super expensive. But yeah, that was like my first exposure to it, was in the Blue Eyes deck, and I definitely really like it quite a bit. So.
Cool. And then the last thing I wanted to ask you for this part was, well, just Ryziel and Malice. I already got your opinion on Malice, but Ryziel not so bad, or like what are you thinking?
It's definitely the lesser of the two evils. Like I said, I play against Ryziel any day of the week over Malice.
Yeah.
Detonator is very annoying. Same thing with Eclipse Twins. The Cross is also ridiculous.
Yep.
That card is absolutely custom. Yeah, I played against... The other day I was playing against Ryziel, and I made the mistake of thinking I could imperm a Detonator, and he just blew up the Detonator, and then... Eclipse Twins, brought it back, and then equipped another card, and he had another 2 or 3 pops.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that doesn't seem like it should be a thing you should do, but
yeah.
It's like Dryden on steroids. Like, it's ridiculous. Like,
yeah. Well,
but it does feel like more trivial, more easier to interact with. Like the choke points feel a lot easier to like interact with. Like Imperm Duo Drive, or like Imperm Ice, which is just like the tour guide. That's how my friends like help me learn the deck. Like Ice is like tour guide. I'm like, tour guide's a good card to stop. This card's probably a good card to stop too. So like a little easier. We're like, as you know, like hand trapping Malice, like feels like sometimes you have to high roll them. Like,
yeah.
Do I imperm the Dormouse and like maybe that ends their turn, or do I ash the White Binder coming back, or ash the GWC? Like what? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Whereas it feels like if you're playing in Rizio, like Imperm Duo Drive really has an impact, and you feel like you're actually doing something with your cards.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, you know exactly what they're trying to do. So, Malice, Malice, I still don't know. I've been playing against Malice for 3 months. I still don't know what to do. So it's whatever.
I don't either, man. I'm clueless. I just draw lands.
Oh yeah, nice.
Draw lands.
All right, good deal. Yeah, almost done. Last thing I wanted to ask you, you alluded earlier to looking into picking up some new decks that maybe you haven't tried before. Anything pique your interest? Have you looked into stuff that's come out in the last year, like pretty well, and kind of have an idea of what you want or like what interests you?
Let me see here.
I feel like the White Forest deck would be a good deck for you compared to your recent.
So there's a funny story about that. And a lot of people commented that when I like posted the teaser trailer return thing. Like some people were guessing, or I made like a community post after that. I like showed like a little picture of my deck on a mat. I'm like playing my first locals in a year. Like, what do you think I played? And a lot of people guessed Speedroid, which was right. And then a lot of people guessed the Whitewood deck, which like I get why they picked it because it's like a synchro based deck and stuff like that. So like I see the reason behind their guess and I see why people would think that. But I kid you not, like some of the first matches I hopped on to YG Omega with to like grind the ladder to like learn Speedroid and learn the format a little bit. I played against like back to back like Whitewood Azurina decks, and it just like pissed me off like so much. And now I just have this like hatred for the deck, and like I don't want anything to do with it.
That's tough.
Like, I was like trying to learn like Malice and Ryziel and like other decks. I just like queue up new game. I'm playing against Whitewood again. Like,
Fantastic.
5 matches in a row. Whitewood. It's like it just kill me, dude. Like I don't want to. So yeah, I kind of. And maybe I would like playing it. One of my friends at Locals plays it, and he's really good with it. But yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't play that now. And funny enough, I actually pulled a QCR of the big fusion something Queen Azamina. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I pulled that out of one of my packs from playing Mermail, and I sold it immediately. Because I was like, I'm not playing this deck. So, but outside of that, other decks that have come out recently, I honestly can't think of any right now. I'd probably have to look at a list, but I'm definitely waiting for a new strategy that comes out that'll interest me enough to like want to pick it up. Because I do want to like get some new decks. Because like it's been a very long time since I picked up a new deck, and I'm like afraid to admit it, but I think the last new deck I picked up was...
Ooh.
It might have been Sword Soul.
Sword
Soul might have been the new, like, my most recent new deck that I picked up. Because, like, everything else I've had for a long time.
Was Infernoble before or after Sword Soul?
Oh, no. Infernoble was after, yeah. So it was Infernoble. That was, what, 2023? Yeah. So it's been 2 years since I picked up a new deck, so everything else has been like recycled for the most part. So it's definitely overdue for a new strategy at some point, but we'll have to see what that is.
Sounds good. And a quick, give me right off the top of your head, if you could get 3 cards banned on this list, what would you pick?
Oh, if I had my choice, Dimension Shifter would be one of them. Hands down. Let's see. Dimension Shifter. Ryziel Cross would probably be another one. Although very unlikely, I would definitely pick Cross. And let's see. Shifter, Cross. I'm just trying to think of other cards that are super frustrating to deal with. Ooh. I have gotten absolutely bodied by Thrust recently. That's just like bias coming in.
Would you pick Fulos?
Maybe. That's a good hit. Yeah, honestly, I could see that. Or maybe finally banning Prosperity. 'Cause that card's dumb. I hate seeing that card at 1. It's such a sacky one of.
Yeah.
It should probably have gone to 0, but yeah, you could probably either do that or Fua, for sure. Very oppressive card. Same thing with D-Shifter, so. Yeah.
Yep.
Probably those 3, yeah. Fua, Shifter, and Cross.
Sounds good. Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about before we head out? Any shout outs? I'll link all your stuff down below. Instagram, photo stuff, all that kind of stuff. I'll link all that for you. Yeah.
Well, shout out to you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And shout out to Buffalo Yugioh. Shout out to Imperium, loyal sponsor of mine, and yeah, shout out to everybody watching. So yeah, that's
sweet. Thanks for coming on the show, man. I hope you have a good evening. Hope you get some good photos. Got the you got the blood moon pictures I seen. A couple of those.
Yeah, I did.
Nice. Yep. I missed it. I was asleep. I could have, but I did not do that.
I don't blame you, man. It was really late. I wanted to go to bed too.
All right, man. Have a good rest of your weekend. Thanks for coming on, and I will catch you in the next one. See you soon.